Welcome back for all of you that were gone for the summer. For all of you that were here, thank you for all you did over this summer. I'm glad to see you're excited about the t-shirts. It was like a sale out there or something. Everyone just flocking in. The t-shirts are for you for opening day. Tomorrow for our students. Many years ago, I worked at one of the schools and I went off to a conference and somebody had a t-shirt and it was the top 10 things that students asked all the time. And really, it was coming out of the frustration of the people in student services answering really the same 10 questions over and over and over and over again. So they put the answers on the back of his shirt and they walked around with them. And I thought, that's a cool idea. So the next year, we did that and we thought we liked that. And the next year, what we did was people couldn't read all 10 of them fast enough. So we did a QR code so they could click it and then have it all on their stuff. So we came out with 5 that our students ask a lot. The other idea of the shirts, honestly, is so that our students can identify people that are here, that work here. And it doesn't matter if it's faculty or staff or anybody. The biggest thing on the first day of classes for our students is just identifying somebody that's here. And they don't know who really is working and who's not. So if you wear one of those, that's great. If you don't have an answer to their question, direct them someplace. Directing students and connecting them that first day is just huge. So this is for you guys. So welcome back for all of you that are gone. There's a lot to talk about, and here we go. So there's a lot of highlights over the last year, and of course I get help putting this PowerPoint together, and I always was laughed at this first part. So it looks like I deep reflection and thoughtful planning. So celebrated with student success. We did a lot of great stuff, and that was, I guess, really what I'm trying to say in this is we did a lot of debating and discussion over a lot of things that were happening on the campus. And there was a lot of deep thinking, there was a lot of discussions, a lot of great conversations, a lot of great information sharing, and I want us to build on that. Believe it or not, by the end of September, I'll have been here a year and a half already. And it just doesn't seem like that's gone by that quickly, but it has. So we're going to build on our strengths, and I really want to emphasize that this is an amazing place to work, and you are amazing people to work with. So a lot of this is going to be really talking about our successes and things that you've done. So I wanted to share that with you. So some highlights of really last year. This is a lot of things that we were working on, and it's important information for all of us. We really completed our strategic planning process. We presented a strategic plan to the board in June. We did the peer review, which was really 100% done by our faculty, and an amazing job that they did. And that will be a basis for a lot of academic discussions this year. The faculty redesigned our general core curriculum, another unbelievable thing that our faculty did. That was a lot of work and a lot of challenges. And I'll be honest, I bragged about this a lot to other presidents and a lot of people that I've talked with over conferences, the amount of work and time that went into this and the results of this. And this will be a basis for a lot of things that will happen on the campus. And again, this will be discussed in academic reviews throughout this rest of the year. We set a new foundation for workforce development. I'm going to talk about that later in this. We have 30 new or updated articulations. One of the focuses you'll see later is our partnerships with everything from K-12s to the four-year schools, and our articulation agreements are a huge piece of what we do for our students that are transferring. A lot of other things. Two-way texting in support of our student success. We have a VP of Finance who's actually here and stayed here long enough that we can get some done. Don't go anywhere, please. It's as odd as it sounds. Charlie is the 8th person in that position in 15 years. And so I'm hoping he stays for 15 years, okay? So. And as long as we're talking about finance for just a minute, the rest of the finance department is fully staffed too. And I do want to give a little shout out to our finance department. They went through a lot of changes, a lot of stress, a lot of work, and really took a lot of the brunt of what's going on around here. So if you give a round of applause to people in our finance. Yeah, fist bumps going on over here, look at that. So we're readying the Science Center, Health Science Center for a grand opening, which we'll announce the date and have it there. I mean, we have students in there, we have all the things in there, but it's such a huge project that we wanted a chance for really, a sense, a moment of opening that up, and we'll let you know about that. That's in October. The Science Center renovation project is underway. We haven't even gotten to the bid process or anything, but we're going through all the process pieces right now. That'll happen probably after the first of the year, and there may be some time changes, elements of that, but that will be the next thing that we're working on. We've begun working on designing the sound recording and music technology learning lab. Where's David? Ivory, where are you? He's around here somewhere. There, he's down here. He's doing a lot of work over the summer. These two guys right here have been doing a lot of work on trying to recruit people to donate to that, to complete that, and we'll give you an update on that as we go along. But it could be a fantastic thing for the college. Revitalizing of student services, the child care, the food services at West Campus, the West Campus people that are watching this. We have a brand new cafeteria over there for them. That was one of the biggest complaints that we heard about. So there's actually going to be like what they were calling real food now for them over in West Campus. And we really reorganized our leadership structure to talk about a strategic agenda. And I'll share all that with you as we go along. So a lot of things that happened just in the summertime alone. So over the campus this summer, you tend to think of the fact that we don't have as many classes. We still have summer classes. We still have people working, people running in and out. We had a lot of activity on the campus, and this is great for us. Think of all the fact of all these people that come on this campus. Many people that we talked to when the millage came through had never been on the campus. They'd never even seen it. You know, this county has 800,000 people in it. How many people have not come to one of our campuses? So one of our goals is to get more people on here. The more students we can get on, even at an early age, the better. So we had 300 middle and high school students here. We had the Gateway to Bridge College. We had high school soccer and basketball games. We had little kids soccer things going on around here. So there was a lot of activity on the campus. So things don't just stop. You guys have been busy. And I want to highlight again, when I do this, please note that I could highlight dozens and dozens of people, and we just pulled a few names out just to show you, so don't be offended if I don't have your picture on here, or in some cases, be offended because I have your picture on here. So, Terry. I told her when she walked in, I have a picture of you, and she's like, oh. Look at this, the Philip B. Lindy Award for Excellence in K-16 Partnerships for Dual Enrollment Programs. Outstanding work. Garvey was awarded a Fulbright Scholarship. He's going to teach sociology in Central Africa. Michael. Serving a one-year appointment as Managing Director at University of California, Davis campus. We have great people, don't we? Michael Kelly. Rock God, as we know him here. So. And finally, Kelly Spangler, Assistant Professor of Physics. So again, just some of the outstanding people we have here, and just a little recognition of some of the great work that's done. So, you're going to like this. It's literally 2 slides. This is not a long, dragged-out thing. What I want to talk about is simply this. The board in June accepted, in a sense, almost a temporary budget. They accepted a budget from us, but we know it's not going to be the finalized one. Because there are, this year, many things that are still undecided, and how do you prepare an absolute budget when you still have so many undecided pieces? And really, the impact of the new millage is still being there. We're trying to figure out when the money's coming through. It comes in more front-loaded, so it comes in more January through June than it does later in the year. So we got to make sure when it comes in, when we don't see money coming later, we have to budget and make sure that that's there. We still haven't gone through that whole cycle for the one time. So we're still waiting to see how that all works out. The finalization of the state budget has still not happened. So the state has talked to us about everything from flatlining us, and I don't mean that like in you're dead flatlining us, flatlining us, just not making any changes or cuts, to a 1% cut is the one that's been bandied around the most. So 1% cut could be up to $1 million for us. So that's, how do you budget if you're really not sure about what that's happening? Now, the latest, and the board members are always asking, as are others, what's the latest with the state? Well, it changes day to day. It literally is a roller coaster. It's day to day. Yesterday, they were $200 million in the hole still, and it doesn't look like they're doing anything until everyone comes back on the 11th of September. So as we hear things, we'll let you know. It's 2 months now without a state budget. Declining enrollment trends are still continuing for us. There are positive news pieces that I'll show those to you, that really good things that are happening, but it still continues to decline. When I met with all the presidents over the course of the summer, our last meeting, pretty much every community college, we're all in lockstep. We're still going down. The ones that are going up a little bit are the ones that really hadn't done much with dual enrolled and are bumping those numbers because of dual enrolled or workforce development, even though it's not in their actual enrollment, but they're actually bringing extra income through workforce development. Or in some cases, they're expanding into territories that are really not theirs, but no one's ever been in there before, and they're making some efforts. Beaver Community College looks like it's rocketed upward, 8 or 10%. Well, they only have 1,500 students altogether, so an 8 or 10% increase numerically isn't that impressive. We budgeted for a 6.5% decline this fall, and I'll show you some numbers in just a minute. And we have contract negotiations, and how do you budget until you know what the final numbers are? We don't want to plug a number in and say, here's our budget, because we don't know how it's going to end. So those things impact what we're doing. So one number, though, again, to remember is we have approximately $84 million budget, and out of that, 3/4 of it goes into people. So when we talk about cuts and other things, holding things, it's really into all you guys more than anything else on this entire campus. So as we go through this, originally we thought perhaps we would bring a budget revision back to the board in September. I'm thinking more along the lines, because we still don't have any answers, same 4 things sitting out there, it'll probably be October. It could even be delayed till November, but what we did was we presented the budget with a spending flat. So what we did was we took the actual spending dollars of last year, not what was budgeted, but what did we spend, and that's what you have in your budgets right now. So that way we know that you spent that number last year. We'll hold on that number for now. If the budget changes and we actually adopt something that's different, we might be able to raise those figures a bit. But we're staying within what we spent last year. And again, probably bringing it in, and we'll look at an updated budget as soon as we can. And we'll let you know. So that wasn't painful too much, was it? That's like everything for the budget. Our focus, as we've talked about over the whole last year and a half that I've been here, has been on what we're calling ARC, which is the access, the retention, and the completion of our students. Now, I want everyone to understand, and I've said this several times, but I'll reiterate it, that a student that does not complete with us isn't a failure, because people kind of turn that a little bit. The idea, though, is there is massive amounts of data out there that will show that if a student completes, they are going to be more successful. I'll give you one number I can tell you right off the top of my head from discussions I had over the summer, that when the recession ended, there were 11.2 million jobs that were created. Only 80,000 of those went to students without degrees. A 2-year degree bumped up that number tremendously. So we have students that will leave, that will go off to a 4-year without completing, and won't get anything. So that's why the focus is on that. It's not because that's what the state looks at, it's because it's in the best interest of our students. And I'm going to show you we're improving on a lot of this. So that's our focus. That's our overarching big goal that we have. We really have done a lot for access. We've got enrollment coach support now. We've got opening educational resource mini grants. We've updated the applicant portal experience. Interestingly enough, I'm seeing this firsthand. I have my son will start classes with us tomorrow, and he'll be here hidden in the things, so don't try to find him, okay, please. It's like, I thought addressing him like, where's Waldo, and sending him off, and you're fine. And my daughter is actually is going to be a dual enrolled student at Methacton, so she's going to have a class too. So I'm getting the, how do I put this into the portal? Oh, I don't understand. What's this question in here? And I'm poor Phil. Phil, I don't get this. So it's good to hear it firsthand. So we got a lot of traditional social media campaigns that are going on. So we're doing a lot of marketing. We're doing a lot of things to try to draw more students. Please know that. On our retention efforts, we really are doing an awful lot of increased outreach and support for students. There's been a lot more contacts for students that have not signed up again, a lot more contacts for students, and we're doing them in groups of which ones can we probably have the biggest impact on, and there's a lot of contact with that. A lot of this eventually will be probably moving towards some of the programs. If you have students in your programs, outreach comes much more successfully through outreach from faculty and staff in those particular programs than people from admissions offices calling people. So it's going to be a big focus for us. And we've also got a lot more increased starfish alerts and reporting. Under completion, the redesigned core is going to make a big difference in our completion, because we're going to have students that aren't going to have as many things they're trying to capture all at one time. It'll be more focused, and it'll be outlaid in their schedules a whole lot easier and more simplified. So that's going to help. The peer prototype that we put together will be actually used over the next year for you to look at your own programs. Who was really successful in some areas and who was not? Can the successful ones work with those that are not? Can we look at what's working and what's not working and sharing information? It's really about sharing better ideas through all that. Every program that we had, not a single group showed up all in green, meaning they were perfect and everything. And there wasn't anybody that showed up all in reds and they were terrible and everything. Everybody has things to work on. How are we going to do that? And that'll be a big project for academics this year. So, our metrics. I won't dwell on this. I just want to show you a couple things. One is we continue to decline in overall enrollment. It's just the reality. We're down since 2010, 17% in headcount, 24% in credit hours. So if you think about it, you've lost in a kind of, without factoring in all the increases in tuition and everything else, 24% of your money also that comes in from those students. And there's been a huge shift to part-time. So part-time students make up 69% of our headcount. That's up from 2009. The problem is part-time students take longer to complete, they're more likely to drop out, they have more issues, it's easier for them to step away from the campus. They are unique students. And we have not, honestly, we've been holding the line on all the things. If we're honest with ourselves, we have not adapted very well in a lot of ways to those. We run exactly the same schedule that we always have. Exactly the same schedule we always had. And part-time students aren't the same as the full-time students that do differently. So there are things for us to think about. I'm not saying radical things, just things we should be aware of. So we will continue to work on this. There are good things, though, and this is the good stuff. New student headcount is starting to rise for the first time. So we're getting more new students that are starting to come in. It's good. If you look at this, you could see comparisons. This is comparison. Don't look at it as a chart like, well, it's flattened here. It's compared to the year before. So we were down, like in spring of 2016, our new students were down 12% in 16. Spring, it's up 5.5%. We're on the rise for our new students. So we're turning that corner for new students, and that's a lot of work that's been done by student services. And I think you should take a second and recognize the work that our student services people have done. And that's not just student services. It's our faculty and others all working together, but predominantly it's those people in that area that have been reaching out. So how do we define success? Here's a few ways, and all of these are positive. All of these are good. So they put 8 bottles of water over here, assuming that I must be like parched. So I'm going to grab one real quick. I want to explain this to you. So IPASS data is, these are the associated degree-seeking students. And what this means is, under IPASS, one of the ideas, a way of helping to define if a student's successful or not, is seeing if they can complete, if you're full-time, 30 credit hours in that first calendar year, 2 semesters over the summer. Part-time, if they can complete 15 credit hours, it shows they're really getting to those points. And if you look at this, what you're going to see is a really large increase in the number of students that we have that are hitting those benchmarks over the course of 1 year. Our part-time, in 2011, only 3% of our part-time students got to 15 hours at the end of 1 full year. 13%, 12%, we're on the increase. Our full-time students, only 8% of our students in 2011 finished 30 hours by the end of 1 year. Look at the numbers. This is a lot of hard work that's been done by all of you, faculty, staff, working with these students and impressing upon them the fact that they need to do this. It helps with their retention. It helps with them completing their goals. This is really good. Retention rate to the second year. So how did they do? So they came here, full and part-time again, 60, 63, 62, 63. That's been pretty good and pretty steady. But look at the difference in the part-time retention after 1 year. The retention's gone from 36 to 50%. We're doing a lot of good stuff. So the points that we're talking about access, retention, and completion, these are great things. And it's because of all the work you guys are doing. So how do we compare nationally? We've made a lot of progress. Last year I stood here and I showed you that we weren't meeting the national standards. We weren't even hitting the averages. Not anymore. Now this is a lot to look at. Our full and part-time, this is IPEDS. So IPEDS, what does IPEDS cohort mean? That's the first-time degree-seeking students that are here. So it's not everybody, it's a cohort of first-time degree-seeking students. And if you look at this, we are now passing above what the national averages are. So if you look at our full-time, 65% compared to 61%. So now we are getting ahead of the national averages. The part-time, we are now ahead of the national averages. We're doing great stuff. We just got to keep it going. Graduation rates. 20% of our first-time full-time degree-seeking students graduate within 3 years. How does that compare? Look where we were before. We were in 2008, 12% compared to the average of 22. Look at where we are. We're not there yet, but we're going in the right direction, and we're moving upward. So again, great work. We're starting to close the graduation gap nationally. This is the 6-year cohort. So what's a 6-year cohort mean? Well, a 6-year cohort means that this includes part-time students. This is everybody. So when you look at this, when you look at the number 2009, 2010, that's not the end number. That is the year that they started. So that's that cohort that started in 2010, the cohort that started in 2009, okay? So what this means is, look at the difference from fall, the number and the work that we're doing, we're going up. Great work. We're going up. Another way of defining it. A year ago, I stood here and I told you that a lot of our students transferred, and what we found out when we got into the data was that all those students that walked out the door, only a third of them actually walked into another college campus. So when we thought everyone that left here just left and went off, magically off to another institution, that wasn't the case. It really is about a third that walk out the door. So holding them here is a lot better. This is all better. So our cohort, again, this is from the Voluntary Framework of Accountability, we've gone from 3.5% of our students to complete to 7. The national averages are 13 and 14. We're still behind on those things, but we're moving in that direction. And the question a year ago was, how can all of these other institutions nationally have more students that complete before they go off? We're closing that. Look at the difference. We have still enrolled, transferred before completion. We were at 38% that walked out the door before completing. Now it's 20%. We're going in the right direction. We're getting our students to complete before they go out the door. This is a huge thing for these students, even though they may not even recognize it. So the point, though, also is that's all great news. And I mean great news. You guys are really doing a lot of great work. The reality, though, is more likely than not, a student that walks in tomorrow when we start classes is going to be a part-time student, has just over a 50% chance of being here next fall, has a 20% chance of graduating in 20 years, and on average will take 5 years to graduate. That's still the reality for our students who are walking in. Those numbers shrink a little bit, but that's still the reality. So there's a lot of work to do. Now, we can't make students take more classes. There's a lot of stories out there. We're going to have 10,000 new students tomorrow. Out of that, we can't tell them you have to do this, you have to do that, but what we can do is encourage them and find ways to keep them here and work with them. That's our roles. That's our job. So, our strategic plan as presented to the board. First of all, I want to thank everyone that was on the strategic planning team. This was not done in a vacuum. This was not done in a little room someplace over the kind. This had a lot of input. This was the team that worked on it, but there were open forums, there were chances to do surveys, there were chances to do massive amounts of input on this. So this was gathering everything from everybody. And just a quick thank you to everybody that was on this team that put it together. So yeah, you have to have a strategic plan because you got to go someplace. A vision for a college campus is where you want to be. You got to be visionary. Otherwise, you're just going off. We can make 100 miles an hour on our road trip, but if we don't know where we're going, what good is it? So from this strategic planning group, the mission that came out of this from the team was that our mission is really to serve the needs of our community through a commitment to educational success for our students. That sounds very simplistic. If you really boil it down to why is the college here, I mean, if you really boil it down to why is the college here, we're supposed to go out and find out the educational needs of our county and surrounding area and serve them, period. That's what we're here for. And that means every kind of student. That means the students that are going to transfer, that means the students that are dual enrolled, and that means the businesses and the workforce development. Anybody that wants and needs some educational work with us are students. So we're not going to categorize them into this isn't good or this is bad. It's got to be everybody. That's what we do. And our vision is to really be an innovative educational hub where students can achieve their educational goals. That's our vision. We want to be this place that supports students, that cares about our students, that makes sure that we work with them. We don't want to bring students in here and just cut them off at the knees without supporting them. We want to make sure that they have the opportunities. Now, I am realistic though. Not every student that steps in the door is capable of doing the work. I understand that. But there's a difference between incapable of doing the work and then not finding the support for those that are capable. And that's the difference that we have to make sure we find. So, with that in mind, 3 strategic themes came out of the strategic plan. Really championing student success, fostering some of those external relationships, and ensuring that we have a sustainable organization. So this is a 5-year plan. Now this doesn't mean it's set in stone. This means that our plan is flexible. There could be changes, our board of trustees could alter sections, we might find that we get something completed, we adjust as we go along. This is just a roadmap for us to go forward. So, I don't like reading stuff to you, but I want you to hear this. We're committed to the success of our students. We foster a welcoming, consistent environment in which students can pursue their individual goals. Guided by personalized services, students are able to participate in a broad set of academic opportunities to prepare the student for success beyond the college. Everything is in there. We want to prepare them, we want to support them, we want them to have the opportunities. It also puts a little onus on them as well. From that, some of our bigger goals that come out. Now, by the way, I'm going to show you some year-long specific goals coming up that we're all going to do. These are the big things. And these might alter. We may see movement on some of these. We may not see movement on any of them for a while. We want to make sure that we have programs and workforce training that have market value, that we can prove the educational effectiveness of our academic programs. And that isn't saying that we don't believe that we are effective, but we do have national and federal people that are watching what we do, our accreditation body. I mean, so we have to prove that. We just have to do that. We have high-impact instructional practices, top-tier, consistent, engaging student experiences. We're going to have pathways. We've got to make sure that they're all lined up so our students, when they come in, they can find a way to go through what they want to do and come out the other side with a degree, hopefully, or what their educational goals are. And let's be realistic, not everyone comes here for a degree. There are students that will come here specifically to take 2 or 3 classes and they're all done. That's all they want to do. So we understand that. So they're not failures. They've done what they want to do. Foster meaningful external relationships. This really means that we're investing in our partnerships with groups outside of this area. So they include K-12s, higher education institutions, businesses, governmental, community organization, and we're going to serve as the educational and cultural hub and relevant resource for the community. We have to re-engage some of these groups. We have to strengthen some of these groups. Some of them are great partnerships right now, but some of them we've let go over the course of 20 years. So we have to make sure we do that. We are a community college, and that's why the word community is in it. So we need to make sure that we upgrade our K-12s. We still have high school counselors that don't send students to us because they think we're an inferior product in their mind. We're not. We have students that don't come to us because they don't believe our credits transfer, and they do. So part of this is that. We have businesses that don't believe we train anybody, so they don't ask us about that. And we have, relationships with government and other groups that have misperceptions about what we do. Now, that's the negative side of it. The positive side, there's a lot of positive things that people believe too. We have to make sure they get the right story. So we're going to work on that. And then, as we go through that, what are we going to do? So we're going to redefine our pathways, K-14, modernize all our career services for our students and alumni, business, industry partners. We have new software for those in workforce development. We're going to have a lot of work with our alumni and others. Program that engages the community. We want more people on the campus. Reestablish all those connections that I mentioned, and then grow those collaborations as well. Our final one is to ensure a sustainable organization. So through data-informed decision-making, we're going to develop policies, processes, and practices that enable fiscal stability, provide operational efficiencies, and prioritize investments and empower employee success. This is sometimes the hardest part of my job, because my job is not just the year-to-year, but it is not just the 5-year one, but ensuring that the college is sustainable in 10 years. Decisions that I make, that the Board of Trustees makes, are not always ones that seem popular because we look at them in a short-term window. We have to make sure that in 10 years we're not setting things that are going to, in 10 years, cripple the college. No one loves to say, let's put aside more money in fixing our buildings every year. That doesn't sound fancy. Let's fix the HVAC system. And everyone goes, ooh. It doesn't work that way, but we have to do that because we have to maintain our facilities. So it's not the prettiest thing that we do, but it's what we have to do. To do that, we're going to make sure that we're transparent. We're going to try to include everybody. We want to be innovative in all the stuff that we're doing. We want to make sure that we're all set for long-term fiscal responsibility. And I can give you an example. The last institution where I worked, the local high school, had literally an $86 million budget. Now, you're supposed to keep a certain percentage of money sort of in your savings accounts for emergencies. I mean, it's the same as you would have. They were down to $150,000 total in their reserves. $150,000 total. That wouldn't even run their institutions for one day. It has this, because what they did was they kept taking money out of their savings all the time, hoping things would turn around, and it just didn't turn around. So a lot of decisions we make, sometimes, we'll explain them to you, because you should understand why we do some of the things that we do, rather than just guess. So here's the goals. Now, all these goals, I'm going to go through them kind of quickly, are really broken down by the vice presidents in your areas. So when you go off today and over the next week or two, whoever's in charge of your specific division or area or group will talk to you about your own. So these are the big pieces, though. For academic affairs, it's really getting the implementation, redesign of the core curriculum built into everything. That is a massive task for this year, and one that we can have accomplished by graduation. Using the peer data to make adjustments, and I already mentioned that, and mapping the full and part-time pathways for our students for their degrees. Our students need to know how to get in and out of the program. If they fail a class, they drop out, something happens, and that means aligning our class schedules, making sure that they can get in what they need to do, and making sure that we work together across the board. Student services, we're really talking about creating and integrating a true student success plan. We don't really have one yet. We got large chunks of it, but we don't have an entire one yet. Part of the things that we also have are processes. And we're going to be working on a lot of our process and experience, our improvements. What I found in my career in higher ed is that we tend to make decisions and it works well, and then after 4 or 5 years we find out that it's just a roadblock for students. And the best one I can give you right now is how you purge students out of a system if they don't pay on time. So everyone's got their class schedules and they're all there, and all of a sudden they're just dropped. Well, we've been proactive. We were doing text messaging. We were contacting them before you do all that. Because all you do is really make up everybody upset. Then they have to re-register, and they're really upset, and they can't get into classes that they already had. So it's a simplified one, but we do it for a certain purpose. There's reason behind that. So we just have to be proactive. That's student services. Information technology, this is Celeste's kingdom. So the implementation of the teaching and learning best practices, really implementing the technologies that are going to support all our automation, our efficiencies, and things that we're working on. Implement and upgrade some of the student success in the software stuff. The software, for example, that I mentioned in workforce development. Okay. And provide and share all the student success reports, the dashboards, the analytics. These people put out a lot of materials to everybody that's useful. Finance and administration. I should put Charlie doesn't leave, number 1. Everyone stays calm and sane, number 2, but I just moved along. The financial ratios, we're going to really be looking at more of a quarterly basis to try to put all those things together. We see how we stand. We do month-to-month ones, but sometimes with all the things that are changing, again, with the millage coming in, if we just did it month-to-month, you're going to see some months that are going to look massively different than the year before. So we're also going to look at it quarterly. Streamlining accounts for the creation of position control and cooperation with human resources. This is a big piece for them. And utilizing the accounts payable vendor, employee travel advances, payroll direct deposit. There's a lot of things in finances, that wonderful world of finances. Human resources, they implement the position control. Working on our 5-year employee workforce plan and beginning to align our processes. Again, a lot of this is process oriented. Our transparency, equivalency, equity, inclusivity, I need more water. Interim appointments, so people understand why we're doing what we're doing. We held quite a few positions over the last year. Quite a few we had to, because we weren't sure where we were really standing financially. We will probably open up some of those once things settle down and we really have a better idea of our numbers, but we have to do it in a logical fashion. So there's just a lot of sharing of information. Workforce development. I'll take a drink real fast before I get into workforce development. Workforce development is going to be probably one of our biggest areas of change. It's one of the biggest things that we have. It's one of our biggest opportunities. It is an area that we have ignored for too long. There are 8,000 businesses in our county that have over 50 employees, and there's a massive potential for this. We've had businesses after business after business tell us, I'd come to you, but I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where to go. So we began last year by hiring Jim Fox as Executive Director of Workforce Development. He's done a lot of great things. He right now is on the injured reserve list. He went through some surgery and he's out for a few weeks. But there was potential for it to grow. So we toyed with an idea over the summer and I implemented it. Yesterday I met with all the people on the West Campus to tell them of some changes that are happening. And then I met with business leaders in the Pottstown community to tell them about changes. So beginning today, Dave DiMatteo is now the Vice President of Workforce Development and Continuing Education. So why is that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One was 80% of what Dave was doing on the West Campus was really outreach into the community. We have a lot of big things that are out there. Dave's got a lot of great ideas. We're working with a lot of pieces. Now, the West Campus, their biggest concern was who's in charge of the campus. We're not going to have a vice president on the West Campus. And after we discussed it with them, everyone, oh, well, this makes sense. And there'll be some blips. But a lot of this is a larger presence of our current vice presidents in our student services and academic areas particularly, making sure that they are there. Dave physically will still be on the West Campus in the exact same office. So there is a vice president presence on that campus. He will be there if there's an emergency, there's somebody right there. But the opportunity for us to grow this is massive. Last year in Pennsylvania, the 14 community colleges trained over 110,000 people. We did 3% of that work. We have people coming to us asking for this. So we are going to respond to this. I want people to understand that this is not we're taking away from other areas. This is augmenting what we're already doing. We're not cutting people to add over here. We're adding as we go along. These are some of the positions we held. So this will be a big deal for us, and we'll continue to report back on what we're doing. Really, right now, it's a huge shift and a huge commitment on our part, and I think it's going to make a big difference for us. And in the long run, successful workforce development programs eventually lead to more students going in our traditional programs. So it's a big thing for everybody. 4 major areas. We can adjust this as we looked at our county. You'd be surprised. The largest number of jobs that are out there right now in our county actually are in food. Of all things, you would think healthcare, but it was actually food. So we broke down into 4 categories. We're going to start working with all these different areas. We will adjust as these come in. These could be, part of the other thing we did was we had a building over there that we were renting, that we had our, on the West Campus, we had our University Center in. We moved the University Center into North Hall, and it was empty. So we're going to be moving our workforce group into that building over there. So it'll be a stronger presence in the Pottstown area. We'll still have training on both campuses, but the focal area will be there. We're going to expand the headcount, and we're going to be really talking about specific goals as Dave and I work through this with the team. We will measure this in more than one way, because we could talk about the number of contracts we had. And 2 years ago, we had 28 contracts, and last year we had 10. Well, we made more money last year than the year before. So we have to measure what we're doing with those, because some of those contracts could just be one-off training. Some of them could be large, large potentials for the college. So as we set those specifics, I'll share them with you, okay? Institutional advancement, we're going to have a brand refresh, so we're going to have a brand new brand that's being worked on. Angela's working on that with others. We're going to have a redesigned website, conduct our foundation readiness campaign. So what that means is our foundation will be bringing a group in to do a feasibility study to see what is the next big thing we could possibly look at for our fundraising. So there'll be a lot of discussions on that before we just launch a program of what we want to do. And we're going to expand our cultural affairs, performances, and outreach programs. So there's a lot of things happening. I want to show you the support that our foundation does do for us. And last year, we received $1.4 million in pledges. And we moved 1.265 over to the college in specifically some of these areas. Predominantly scholarships. Now, it doesn't mean we kept a whole bunch of money, but some of that is earmarked and has to stay. It's not an exact thing. So what this means is this is the interest based on what we already have. We were able to move money back over. So don't look at it dollar to dollar like we kept it. So this is a big thing for us, and the foundation is a huge partner with us. And I want to thank our foundation members and our alumni members, and we're going to be doing a lot more work with them. The shirts that you got. One final thing. Last year, our students received $700,000 in foundation scholarships. So that is, and again, so a lot of you donate to the foundation, and that's fantastic for you. We all play a role in our student success, and I'm going to close, believe it or not. See, like you got through a whole another one of these years. with this. The shirts, please wear the shirts, meet the students, talk with them. You never know which student you might save. Last year we had a student walking across the campus and one of our employees just stopped. The student looked lost. And the student accidentally was on the wrong campus. Didn't understand because you're looking at your schedule and it's got a room number and it's got a thing on there, but didn't realize that the code for West. Had a class here, scheduled a class over there like 10 minutes later. And was getting ready literally to walk out the door. And our employee went over and helped change the class. We waived the fact that if a student doesn't drop a class and get one right away, there's a fee. No, we took care of that student. The student stayed for the whole year. Tomorrow, you're going to see a whole bunch of students here, and a lot of them are going to be lost. And you make a huge difference. Just saying hello makes a huge difference. So I want to show you a video. Now, in this video, please understand one thing. This video was created as part of the foundational work to have people donate money. It was shown a year ago when we had all of our student scholars and our donors together, and it was really reinforcing that. So I want you to take just a second, though, and move aside the fact that donating money is a big thing. What I want you to do is I want you to just listen to the stories. This will tell you why we do what we do better than anything I can say.
I'm originally from Bangladesh, and today is my graduation day. It's my big day.
Graduates, we did it! There are plenty of people I am grateful to for helping me along this wonderful, sometimes not easy journey.
I am 44. I'm a wife and mother of 2 beautiful daughters.
It feels really good to be moving on to the next stage of my life.
I've been a full-time student. I'm graduating with honors as business administration.
I am a single parent. I wanted to show my children that no matter what happens in life, you can always bounce back and you can be strong and follow your dreams.
It's been a strenuous 3 years, but honestly, I'm ecstatic. I can't wait to continue my journey.
I'm a pretty ambitious person.
I'm proud to announce today
I really believe in myself.
you were selected as a Cook Scholar.
I always had big hopes for myself, so I went after it. There's a whole group of people that seriously only care about you succeeding and about your future.
I came here in 2010 with my family without knowing anything like the culture, the people, where to live, who to live with.
I couldn't start the semester I wanted to due to an automobile accident. So then after that, I was home, I wasn't working. I said, okay, you know what? This is the time.
I grew up in an abusive home and had parents who were drug and alcohol users. Coming to Montgomery County, it really helped change my life.
I got an opportunity to come back to school through Montgomery County Career Link, and I just knew that I had to be successful.
After today, I will be the first male in my family to graduate from college.
I received a letter from the college. Congratulations, you have been selected as a recipient of a foundation scholarship.
I would have ended up taking in student loans if it had not been for that scholarship. It is a blessing.
We do have financial struggles, and the scholarship allowed me to buy books and supplies without worry and just concentrate on my education.
They were critical and vital to my ability to pay for college, my scrubs and all of that stuff for class.
They all helped me pay down my loans. If I didn't have them, my student loans would have been humongous.
If it wasn't for the foundation scholarship, I wouldn't have had the capacity to do such strenuous scholarship work.
Scholarship is more than money for me, and I have a dream to be a music producer one day.
Not only did the scholarship help me get my education paid for, but it showed that there's people out there who invest in people like myself and have visions for a brighter future.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I've been raring. I've just, yes.
I did it. I can tell my family, my mom and dad, I did it.
People think that because where I came from that I probably wouldn't amount to anything, but I really proved those people wrong.
I plan to come back to Monco and teach one day. I really feel like I want to give back to the college the same way that they've given to me.
I had to show the people who were there for me that they made the right choice, that they selected the right person for those scholarships.
People made the decision to give me this scholarship. So now I need to show them that it was worth investing in me.
Two quick things. This afternoon, for those of you who have questions about anything that I talked about or just want to chat with me, I am doing one of the sessions, just questions and answers. I get that out of the way. Secondly, that's why we're here. That video shows you why we're here. Those were amazing stories. Tomorrow, there's 10,000 brand new stories starting. You make a difference in all this. I'm proud of working with all of you. I'm proud of the work that you do. You are fantastic people, and we're going to have a great year. Have a great year.
Good morning. If everyone could kindly take their seat, we're going to go ahead and get started with our emergency preparedness training. The energy is infectious in here this morning. I love the networking and the opportunity to connect and reconnect with colleagues is one of the most important things I think that happens on opening day. Well, I'm pleased and honored to have the opportunity to introduce this training session on campus and office safety. It's unfortunate at this time that we have to do this type of training and continue to renew our training and our commitment to ensure a safe, secure, inclusive and diverse environment for everyone to thrive in. In addition to our in-house experts of Joe McGurman, our Director of Campus Safety, and Russell Desario, our lead at the West Campus, I'm honored to introduce Steve Beck, who is a 34-year veteran of law enforcement and currently serves as a school safety coordinator for Montgomery County, the Department of Public Safety. Steve is additionally assigned as a special county detective with the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office, coordinating the District Attorney's Safe Schools initiatives. Previously, he served as lieutenant with the Lower Moreland Township Police Department and was the assistant team commander of the Moreland Area Special Weapons and Tactics Team for Eastern Montgomery County. Steve has 19 years experience in emergency management, which includes being a municipal level deputy coordinator and currently certified at the county emergency management staff level. He has worked extensively at schools, all levels, on numerous aspects of school safety and security, including workplace violence. Steve is a certified instructor in multi-hazard emergency planning for schools, a municipal police officer training and education commission certified firearms instructor with the Montgomery County Police Academy. He is a graduate of Temple University, the FBI National Academy, and the United States Marine Corps veteran. Please welcome both Steve and Joe to the podium.
Good morning. Thank you. To those faculty that were away for the summer, welcome back. For the others, welcome back. Steve and I are making this presentation together. It's a great opportunity for the Department of Public Safety and for the county to participate in providing some guidance to faculty, staff, and administrators on what we think is really important, emergency preparedness at the college. You've heard about Steve. Steve has been in his position with the county for 10 years after serving a career in Lower Moreland Police Department. Also joining us from West Campus is Russell Del Rosario, who is in the community room at West Campus and will be available up there for answering any questions. I would be remiss if I didn't introduce our new public safety supervisor, who was hired last week and started working yesterday. His name is Wendell Reed, and he will be working closely with me, covering the campus on our 3 to 11 shift, but responsible for a lot of the safety initiatives that we're working on. So Wendell, would you stand up for a moment, please? So that may be the last welcome you get, okay? You're under fire now. Wendell comes to us from Lincoln University, the University of Pennsylvania, and served as a police officer, lieutenant, and deputy chief at the Colwyn Police Department. So the presentation we're doing this morning includes some important information from the Department of Public Safety, some training videos from the Department of Homeland Security, the University of Alberta, Ready Houston, an emergency preparedness organization in Texas. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the people, the emergency responders, and those volunteers that are actually walking into the crisis in Texas this morning, the volunteers that are headed towards Texas from all over the country. The material presented, some of you have seen. It is not intended to raise fear or foster fear in you, but it's intended to give you an idea of what might be required of you in a serious emergency and to build the confidence that you're going to need to respond adequately. You may have seen some of the material previously. I know there's a lot of faces in this room that have attended my sessions. We look at this as a review. It's always important to review emergency management because the more you see it, the more you understand what you're supposed to do. Depending on your personal life experience or situation, there may be some material that's upsetting and disturbing. I want you to feel free to get up and leave the room at any time if something upsets you. So let's move on. We've done our introductions. All right, I'm not going to show you the 2 videos of Joe McGurman telling you about safety at the college. I know you all enjoy those, and I know you've seen them many times. But I am going to tell you they are available to you on the portal, and maybe before you start class tomorrow, it might be good just to click on one of the 2, especially faculty, the classroom safety video. There are some things in the classroom you should be aware of. Obviously, we want you to know where extinguishers are and how to lock the doors if you need to. But so if you promise me that you'll look at them, I promise you I won't show them right now. All right, there you go. That's enough. So basic stuff. Before you leave the room, take your cell phone and program the emergency number for public safety into your cell phone. Everybody should have this done. Most people don't. You could be somewhere on campus and need the assistance of a public safety officer. and not be able to get to a phone to dial 6666. So what you have in your possession is a tool that is used in emergency preparedness. That's the phone. Just put us in there under security, under safety, under Joe McGurman, whatever you want to do. Whatever you'll think when you see a problem and you know you need help. That's the number that you should put us in under, label it. Everyone should have the 6666 number. If you work at West, you need 1913, and those of you that are here from Culinary Arts would dial 5973 on an extension. Remember, we have emergency call boxes at both campuses. They are inside some of the buildings. They are outside most of the buildings. They are available in the parking lots. When you pull up, you should have an idea where the nearest call box is to you. It's imperative that you know that you have the right to dial 911. From a campus phone, you need to dial a 9 first to get an outside line, and then dial 911 in any type of police, fire, or medical emergency. We don't expect you to make a decision that this is something really serious and that you will call us first. We want you to call us or coordinate with someone else to call us, but the fact is, we're all safer if emergency responders from off campus are responding to the campus at the same time public safety is responding. We will coordinate, we will get them there to the scene as quickly as possible, but you have the right to make that call. And we have an extension at each campus for non-emergency calls. That's something that you should also be aware of. Emergency text messaging. So if there's anyone in the room that hasn't signed up for emergency text messaging, it's probably the most important thing you're going to do from a preparedness point of view today. So I want everybody to go online and get onto emergency text messaging. It's very easy to do. Phone number, email address. You'll get all the messages that the college chooses to send. In a serious college-wide emergency, we will send text messages. I promise not to bombard you with cultural affairs, athletics, or any other type of text messages. But it's important that for emergency purposes, you're signed up for E2 Campus. How you'll be notified: E2 Campus sends out a text message, it sends out an email. We have an alertus system that will bring an alert up onto any computer so that as we sit here today, if there was an emergency on campus, a message would come up. I would not be able to continue the program until I acknowledged that the message came up, and obviously at this point all of you would have seen the message and you'd be on your way out the door. But the point is that alertus is there. If you have your computer in your classroom turned on, you're always going to get the message. We also use the closed-circuit TV monitors on campus. There are some exterior speakers in different places. Some of our buildings have internal speaker systems. So you'll be getting messages in lots of different ways. It's important that you know where to find the Emergency Procedures Handbook on the web. It is available on the portal under a tab on the right-hand side on the portal under the red buttons, Emergency Procedures. If you click on that, it'll give you all the information that you need for a lot of different things. And also in the classrooms, in a lot of our conference rooms, we have emergency action guides, which are little colorful guides that tell you what to do in an emergency. They are not intended for you to pick them up when the bells are going off. They're there in the classroom so that you pick them up and take a look at them and gain a little confidence in, okay, I know what to do in this type of emergency. The most important thing is calling for help. All right, there are some actions that you will be required to take in an emergency. Evacuation is something that we're all used to. We grew up with evacuating for fire drills. That's an easy thing. Somebody says everybody needs to get out, and we all very orderly walk out of a building. You can lock out of certain places. You can lock down an entire campus. You can shelter in place if you need to shelter in place for a weather event or some type of criminal event that is occurring off of campus. It's important that everyone know that when we send a message out to shelter in place, That does not mean that school is over. That does not mean to release the students from the building and let them go home. It's important to know that if it's a shelter in place, there's a good reason to have everyone just stay in the classroom and keep people in the classroom until the shelter in place is removed. And usually shelter in places are for weather-related incidents or hazardous material incidents. There also is what would be called a reverse evacuation, where people are actually outside a building and we need them to go inside the building. That could be for a severe thunderstorm, a tornado, or some type of criminal incident occurring on the campus. So I am going to stop talking for a little while. I'm going to turn the presentation over to Steve. Steve is going to talk a little bit about situational awareness, and we're going to see our first video. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe. Can everyone hear me okay? I'll move around just a little. If I trip and fall in this here, only laugh moderately. Don't laugh real loud. If you want to check to see if I'm hurt, that's okay. But, you know, I have a tendency at my age to find things to trip over. I don't know why. But, okay, situational awareness. But I just wanted to add one thing. Since Joe kind of mentioned already some key aspects of communication, you know, having those phone numbers available, having kind of in your mind, you know, just kind of remember, a thing we kind of lose when we talk about all this stuff is all of a sudden we're going to find ourselves in some stressful situation. Some aspect of high risk and high stress will be going through our brain, and our brain's going to respond in a specific way. So what we have to make sure we do is we're making our emergency actions, taking those emergency actions, looking at that text message and keeping it simple. So let's just kind of make sure we follow perhaps those instructions that come in on those text messages. The person putting it out, or the people providing that specific message, probably going to know maybe a little bit more about the situation than you know right at that particular moment. And those instructions are going to be key. So make sure you follow those instructions when you hear those, right? And keep things simple. Don't try to make things up or try to come up with a whole plan right away. Take in information, then think about what your possible actions could be, then make a decision, and then act, okay? There's a lot of basic concepts to this, and this is what I want you guys to kind of grasp onto when we look at safety and security. And most everything we're talking about here today when it comes to situational awareness, emergency actions, this applies to your everyday life as well. So if you think you're feeling pretty safe here at the campus and you have a right to feel that way, think about perhaps when you're out, maybe on your own or just with some family members and you're at the movie theater, if you're at the mall, all right? What's your level of situational awareness there, right? So situational awareness is really a mindset. And I'm on a campaign right now across Montgomery County. It's a national campaign, but what we're trying to do is raise the level of situational awareness, the understanding of situational awareness, and what that really is when we look at it from the perspective of safety and security. So as you see up there, in the first one there, it's a level of awareness of what's going on around us. Right? So as you move from one spot to another, and I'm going to ask you guys, as we move into this school year, from the moment you enter the campus, put that situational awareness hat on. Because you're going to be actually that first line of defense, and that's what we want. We know that we can call that 6666 number, right, when we see something happening, when we know that there is a response needed, when there's an emergency already taking place. We think of emergency numbers, well, uh-oh, something's already going on. But what about if we could stay ahead of that game a little bit? One of the ways we look at school safety and security and a lot of other emergency management situations is through the 5 mission areas of our preparedness goals. Prevention, right? Gee, don't we wish we could prevent it all, right? But we can't. Protection, how do we protect ourselves? Cameras, planning, training, those type of things. Mitigation, how do we mitigate the effects of something? Even maybe before it actually takes place. You know, maybe just giving some quick instructions of like, you know, hey, stay away from there. As you'll see in one of the slides as we go through here in a few moments, you know, keep people out of a building that's having an emergency, right? Mitigating the effects. And then, of course, response, which we're all familiar with, because that's what we hound upon all the time. And then recovery, Let's not forget about recovery. Just go back and think of Sandy Hook Elementary. All right? Do you think they have fully recovered up there? Will they ever recover from the devastating act that took place up there? Right? Or other campuses, whether it's Virginia Tech. What is the recovery? The recovery is actually an establishment of a new normal. Right? So just think of that from the larger components, and then drill it down into specificness, even depending on where you are in your everyday daily lives, whether it's home, here, at work, on the campus, or wherever it may be. Situational awareness is a state of mind. All right? It's a mindset. Right? And I'm asking you to put that in place now from this point forward, all right, in your everyday lives, especially here on campus, to keep this campus safe. He already moved it forward on me. All right. Just go back 1 second, Joe, for me, please. All right. So not only is it a state of awareness, all right, but it's also a understanding of readiness. So how many exits are there for us to get out of here right now? Did anyone look prior to? All right. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I already looked. There's one around the corner here too, and I'm not sure what's over there. All right. Real basic example of using situational awareness to get ready. I've been in law enforcement for a long time. My wife and I, and I'm spending a little bit of time on this portion here. I'll cut some of the other portions down a little bit. But this is my campaign, so this is my moment to kind of step up on the box a little bit and kind of preach. All right. So my wife and I all the time, when we go out, just say to the movies, because I've got her trained. All right. Now, if she were up here, she would say, "I have him trained," and she does really. I get it. All right. I understand that part. But when it comes to situational awareness, we sit down at a movie, we find that seat that we want. Get that best view. But I also look at it, and she does as well, as to what if something happens? Where are the exits? All right? What if we couldn't get to that one? What would be our next best one? All right? And if we can't get down a normal aisle, what's the best way to get to one of those exits? All right? Are we mentally prepared to climb over seats? All right? To get to someplace? All right? So that's kind of the readiness component there of that situational awareness. And then finally, guys, since we don't have eyes all the way around us, and when we're coming from our car in the parking lot towards the center portion of the campus or to your building, since we don't have eyes all around us, we can't have a 360-degree capability of situational awareness. So we also have to make sure that we have an understanding to be prepared for the unexpected, because stuff can still happen, all right? Because we can't be totally aware of everything. The main component, next slide there, Joe. The main component is what do we do with those things that we're seeing and how we're preparing ourselves. And a portion of that comes to making sure we stay in a steady state of situational awareness. Even when we're teaching our classes or doing our jobs in our offices or whatever it would be. We want you to be in yellow, all right? Be in that yellow right there. If you're relaxed and if you're in the white, you're kind of unaware what's going on. All of a sudden, you'll be surprised just about everything, right, that happens. You know, when somebody even comes up from behind you to give you a legitimate tap on the shoulder, say, "Excuse me," you know, you're going to give them one of those, you know, type of things. That's unaware what's going on around you. Basic examples. Let's stay in the yellow, guys. We're looking for you to be at work, right? When you go out to the mall, stay in that yellow. You're relaxed, you're shopping. You're relaxed here at work, you're doing your job, but at the same time, that radar is going on, all right? Figuring out where we're at. Yes, so what we're going to see here, well, the main component of all that, before we see this video rather quickly, we'll probably have to press on it to go, is if you're seeing something, if something's not right, and you're the guys that know what normal is on the campus, if you're fairly new to the campus, you're going to establish what normal is, right? Quote normal. Right? You're going to establish that. I could come on the campus 3 times over, you know, a 3 or 4 month period of time. I won't know exactly what that normal is. You guys will. And when you realize when something's not right, that's when you see that, that's when you feel that, that's when you report it to those numbers. Let's stay ahead of it. All right, let's try to be preventative in nature, or at least be one step to help mitigate the overall effects of if something is about to happen. Let it get checked out. Don't feel that, oh, I don't know, I'm afraid it could be nothing. All right. Well, how would you feel if it turned out to be something, right, and you did nothing? All right. We want you to act in an appropriate way, reasonably. All right, let's watch this video now. This is called Make the Call. It's really in an improvised explosive device environment, but here is some good examples of what situational awareness is all about. Whoops. Something's not right. I'll let it go. See if you can pick up the situational awareness examples as they happen here in this particular video.
Improvised explosive devices have been used in almost every terrorist attack that has taken place in the last 40 years. The threat is real. We are vulnerable. But awareness, planning, and preparedness can make a real difference in keeping our public spaces safe and secure. We all know bombs often don't look like bombs. They come in all shapes and sizes. From a 5-pound bomb left in a bag to a 1,000-pound bomb left in a truck. They are often small and easily transportable, with catastrophic effects. Most bomb-making materials are completely benign on their own. But in large quantities, altered or paired, they can be deadly.
Hello, security. I think you need to come up to room 410 right away.
Bombs often include everyday household items that you can buy at places like beauty supply or pool supply stores, gas stations, and home and garden centers.
Hello, how are you guys doing?
Obviously, it's imperative that employees are aware of the explosive nature of the goods they sell. But it's even more critical that they know who to talk to if they feel like something is suspicious.
That's nice, good color. Why don't you guys look at this? I'll be right back, okay?
Okay, we'll look at it. Actually, yeah, I think it's pretty.
Hey, Phil. Yeah. I know what you said about fertilizers, and there was this guy who literally bought everything. And let me tell you, he was no farmer. So I just thought you should know.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks a lot.
Reporting suspicious behavior is the #1 thing that we can do to stop a terrorist attack. And you play a key role in keeping us safe and protecting the American way of life. Don't ignore your instincts or rely on others to take action. Be prepared, be aware, be safe. If you see something, say something. If you see someone who looks suspicious, or if you find yourself in a potentially dangerous situation, don't try and be a hero. Get as far away from the threat as possible. Try to place a solid physical object between you and the threat. Try to prevent others from entering the general area and call 911.
There was this really sketchy guy who just walked into the student center. He looked like he was wearing something under his jacket. I don't know, it really freaked me out.
Terrorists and criminals who wish to cause massive damage may also use trucks, vans, or cars to conduct surveillance or detonate an explosion. But we know that aware citizens, staff, and employees are the first line of defense in preventing these type of attacks.
It didn't feel real, did it?
Report vehicles that are left for long periods of time. parked in prohibited areas near entrances or exits,
Somebody left his car parked and there's no parking there.
missing identification, or that are left intentionally. Some indicators alone are not necessarily suspicious. But if multiple indicators are present, like electronic components, unusual containers, or if unknown liquids, smells, or smoke are coming from a package or vehicle, extreme caution should be exercised. If you see a suspicious package or vehicle that might contain an IED, do not touch it or attempt to move it. Report it and clear the area. Without causing panic, calmly alert others that you have found a suspicious item. Move all patrons and personnel at least 500 feet away from the suspected IED. Step away from the potential threat when using two-way radios or cell phones. They can trigger explosions. Communicate clearly with your security team, management, and local authorities. Try to confirm the device by attempting to locate the owner of the package or vehicle. Often, suspected threats are misunderstandings, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. Always check the area and facility for secondary devices. If you find anything, remember, do not touch it. Report it. The local bomb squad, police, and emergency responders are here to help. They will arrive with all the necessary tools, equipment, and personnel to secure the facility. The specialists will handle the IED. But the first line of defense is you. Establish and rehearse plans, procedures, evacuation protocols, as well as potential locations that could be used as staging or assembly sites for both evacuation and first responders. Preparing and planning for the worst will help us be more safe and secure for the future. Be prepared, be aware, be safe. If you see something, say something. Make the call.
Okay, so again, just a quick overview there of what I kind of alluded to when it comes to situational awareness. Here you see it in an improvised explosive device environment. It can be any type of thing. It doesn't have to be specifically this type of emergency or potential emergency. See it, report it, see something, say something. The message they give specifically in this video, and that comes out of New York. What we want to look at now is how do we mentally prepare ourselves? Stepping maybe one step up from situational awareness. What happens when things do start to happen? How do we mentally prepare ourselves to take those first steps? And that's a key component. But we don't have to necessarily go through all kinds of training. We can basically, when you look at this list up here, you could run yourself through a set of just mental what-if sessions. All right? Sitting at your work area, sitting at in your classroom. If you were sitting out in your vehicle and you were out at some portion of a parking lot, what if something took place and you see a variety of different types of emergencies up here? If you just run through that emergency, what would I do if this took place right now while I'm here in my office? What would I do if an emergency, one of these emergencies took place right now and I'm here in my classroom? What would I do? If you take a few moments and think of those first maybe 3 or 4 basic steps you would do. You know, who would you call? What is that number? Run it through your brain. All right? What else would you do? What life safety steps might you take? What about property? Where would that fall into place when it comes to your incident priorities? Third, right, we worry about property and preservation last. All right? Life safety comes first. Helping stabilize the event is that middle opportunity there. All right? But we just run these through our brains. It's trained versus untrained. It was a very good article from the Law Enforcement Bulletin. Goes back a ways, around 2011, written by a former FBI agent that I happen to know. He was on the crisis negotiation team with the FBI back in the day. He wrote a very good article with his associates, and it really covered this area, trained versus untrained. So it's important when you're trained, even if it's basic informal training through a what-if session, and maybe coupled with some more formal training like we're doing here this morning, right? Instead of being panicking, you're anxious about the event. But you're thinking about and recalling that training that went through your mind. And then you start thinking about, okay, what can I do here? You make those decisions, you take those actions, you start to act, all right? And you commit to those acts, rather than being panicking, in disbelief, in denial, and not making any decisions and being helpless. So you can mentally prepare yourself just by putting yourself through these basic what-if sessions. When it comes to the point of calling 911, there's a little bit of information that's always key here. We're not going to spend much time with this. But when you call 911, all right, do it when you're safe, right? When you can safely do so. And you'll see that repeatedly in the video, and another one we're going to show here in a moment, all right? Location is important. Make sure you get the location out so they know where to get to. Going back years, since I've been around for a while, they always used to answer to 911 and say, what's your 911, what's your emergency? Not anymore. Now it's 911, what's the location of your emergency? Where are you at? And the more detail you can give, the better. As you see at the bottom of this slide here, when it talks about when you're on your cell phone, know that depending on where you are in relationship to the towers, right, and where you are perhaps to county lines, that can make a difference. We ask you to call, if you're using your cell phone to call, and if you know, tell them what county you're calling from. Because if you're near a border and you dial 911 and on your cell phone and hit send, that could go to a Chester County tower. If you're close to the Philadelphia border, it could go to a Philadelphia tower. That call will go right to their 911 centers. But here you are in Montgomery County. So make sure you know, and if possible, if you know, make sure you're telling them what county you're calling from. That's a good first step, right? Then go on with more detailed location. The other part here in Montgomery counties and several of the other counties within our region, not Philadelphia at this point, you can text to 911. Right? So when we look at this video, and here in a moment, when we look at the armed intruder, active shooter type event video, think about if you were in that hide component, right? And you didn't want to really use your voice, you can now text in Montgomery County to the 911 center as you would send a normal text, and you'll have a text conversation. These components you see up here stay the same, all right? Location, where are you texting from, all right? Those type of things, all right? But you can't do that in Montgomery County, Bucks, Chester, Philly, not yet. But the other counties are working on it. Right. So now we're going to kind of stray into that area of a lot of interest. What are we doing? I hope you're kind of up on board with most current best practices when it comes to dealing with the armed intruder. We'll watch this video. This is out of the University of Alberta. I rate it kind of PG-13. It's a dramatization. All right? So you're not going to see any live footage of people getting seriously hurt or worse. What you're going to see is, you're going to hear some gunshots. You're going to see students react. It's in the higher education environment. This is the video that University of Alberta uses to train their staff as well as their students on what to do with an armed intruder on the campus.
Remember, those of you who have seen this video, this is a really good review. It's not a rerun of something you've already seen and you already know. Think about what would need to be done under the circumstances.
You're about to watch an educational video about a disturbing subject, how you should respond in an active shooter situation. An active shooter is an individual shooting at people, usually at random, in a populated area. The likelihood you will ever encounter this type of situation is extremely remote. In fact, you are more likely to be struck by lightning than be the target of an active shooter. So why then are we asking you to view this video? Well, first, we think it could benefit you no matter what risks you may face, because it encourages you to think through various emergency scenarios and ask yourself, what would I do in that situation? Second, people often ask for this information. Media coverage of active shooters anywhere in the world causes anxiety, and many people just want to know what they should do if it were to happen to them. And finally, as unlikely as it is, it could happen, whether on your campus or anywhere else you travel in your lifetime. Please take a few minutes to watch the video. Listen for the messages of get out, hide, fight. Who knows? One day it could save your life.
If you've seen this video before, perhaps look at it in a little bit more depth and see if you're picking something up that you didn't really recognize before or see before.
There are many partners who work together to make your campus safe. The likelihood of an active shooter occurrence on your campus is extremely remote. However, when the unthinkable happens, it's essential to be prepared to act, just like you would in a fire.
I think that was a gun. Run!
Did you hear that? No. Every second counts. Not sure if that's gunfire?
I don't know.
What else is happening? Check for crowd reactions, shouts, screams. Trust your intuition. If it sounds like it could be a gun, react as though it is. Planning could save your life. Be familiar with your environment. Knowing your options ahead of time means you can act with a clear mind when fear and adrenaline kick in. Scan and assess your situation. Consider your options. Act. Active shooter situations are unpredictable and evolve quickly. You will need to react fast. If you believe you can escape safely, do so immediately. When you are safe, call 911.
There's a shooter on campus.
There's people coming out. Where's the shooter?
I think he's in the library.
Okay, get behind our truck.
Follow the directions of police. Choose a safe exit. Don't attract the shooter's attention. Protect yourself first before helping others.
Here, now. Hurry. Hurry. Door locked.
Find a secure room or space.
Shut the lights.
Turn off the lights. Cover windows.
Get out of the line of fire.
Lock the door and barricade it if you can.
Someone's shooting. We're gonna lock down. We're gonna be safe. Don't worry.
Improvise. Stay out of the line of fire. Get under desks or behind tables. Mute your phone. Be quiet. Wait for police to come to you.
Okay, everyone silence your phones.
Turn off the lights. Lock and barricade doors. Stay out of the line of fire. Be quiet.
Please remember, we're not going to be in this
When
room
you
for
can't
the
get
next
out or hide, your last resort may be to fight.
You turn off the lights.
Quick, get under the desk.
Everybody.
Whether you are alone or with a group, be ready to fight for your life. Commit to aggressive action. Mentally prepare yourself to physically fight. It would be a fight for your life. It's your decision. Disarm and incapacitate the shooter any way you can.
Keep him down.
Improvise weapons from nearby objects. Commit to an aggressive physical attack. Stop the threat. If you are safe in your hiding place, stay there and let police come to you.
It's the police service. Announce your presence.
Remember, the primary duty of police is to stop the shooter and then tend to casualties.
Okay. What we need you to do now is just follow our direction. Everything's gonna be okay. We're gonna get you to exit the room, nice and slowly, one at a time with your hands.
Do whatever you can to get through this. Odds are you will never face the unthinkable. But if you do, keep the odds in your favor.
Okay, you next.
Planning can save your life. Having options empowers you and helps control your fear. Be familiar with your environment. Assess your situation. Make a decision and act.
I'm still shaking.
Get out, hide, fight.
We're okay. We're all okay.
All right, good video. It's the one I've been using across the board with all our schools, K through higher education, as well as workplace environments. This one's good because it gives you that educational environment, which kind of brings it home a little bit. You know, hopefully we don't have to deal with one of these, but a lot of schools hope they never had to, and all of a sudden they did. Quick review now. Some of those action steps that you saw there real quickly. We'll run through these. Again, leadership. All right, staff, faculty, all right, it's important. Even though you're dealing in most cases with young adults, all right, and even maybe older adults, they're going to be looking for some leadership. They're going to expect you to have some understanding of what some of those initial steps will be to take, whether you're in your classroom, office area, whatever. So make sure that you're prepared to have people look to you for some leadership and lead you in a particular place. All right. Get out. Here in this video you saw they're using get out, hide, fight. You may have heard run, hide, fight. There's a program out there called ALICE, alert, lockdown, inform, counter, evacuate. It's terminology set to the same concept, which is helping us supplement our response to the armed intruder. Because lockdown in and of itself is not going to maximize our response to this. So get out is another key component. If you have that clear escape path, right, you can make it. Whether you're an individual or whether you got your classroom with you or you got your office personnel with you. It's time to think about that now, guys, not when something like that happens. How fast do my fellow employees move? Important things to think about. Don't attempt to help others at that particular point unless it can easily be done. Encourage others to come, but don't waste time trying to drag people out from areas where they're not willing to move. And when you're safe to do so, call 911. Whoops.
Sorry, my fault.
I think I jumped by you. Either you touch it or I touch it.
Go ahead.
He gave up on me now, that quick, huh? All I wish everyone I tried to get voluntary compliance from was that easy. All right, call out. Right? Call out 911. Right? Text to 911 if you can't make that call. Call public safety. All right? Even when you make that initial 911 call, don't say, well, I called the police. Now we'll just wait. Public safety is key in that communications link. Make the additional call. They're right here on campus. Right? Yeah, they're not necessarily armed. All right, to deal with necessarily with the armed intruder, but think of all the other actions they can take to help mitigate this overall effect at other buildings, locking them down, moving people away from the area, the things that they can do while they're here. So make sure they're a key component that you're reaching out to. All right, again, notify anyone else who would need to be notified. Don't worry about your family right away. Get yourself safe. Let them know you're safe later on. All right. So try to control those things, that additional social media aspect of it. And again, there's call boxes and emergency boxes on campus for you to use depending on where you are. Where are you in relationship to the intruder? Where are you in relationship to the emergency, whatever it might be? All right? I preach the OODA loop. All right? Observe, orient, decide, and act. All right? That's a decision-making model. Right? It's been proven by people in various fields that it works for them. All right? So again, observe, orient, decide, and act. Assess your situation. Orient yourself to that. Where are you in relationship to the emergency? Think about your actions, make a decision, and then act. All right? Hiding out. If you've got to lock yourself down, if you don't have that clear escape path, can you lock down? Where can you hide? As you can see, you can silence your cell phone, remain quiet, call 911 again when it's safe to do so, or text. All right? Those things that you see up there, barricade, blockade the doors. Even if it opens out, and if you have an opportunity to barricade, blockade your door, if you know the intruder's in close proximity to it, do it if you can do it safely. Because every moment that the armed intruder has got to tear down a barricade, move things to the side in order to get into people, all right? Every second we add to the clock, we're saving lives. Every second you add to the clock, we're making a difference. Right? Every second you add to the clock, you're allowing time for those law enforcement personnel or other emergency responders to get to you to stop the threat. Helping out. Right? Again, when it's safe to do so. Know where maybe key pieces of equipment are. Maybe additional notifications. Helping people who once they have escaped. Getting them to an area or a rally point that's going to be safe for them, all right? Or whatever it might be, helping out when it's safe to do so, right? Don't put yourself in jeopardy trying to help someone who may not be able to be helped at that particular point. We're trying to mitigate the overall effects of these. I know it's a hard pill to swallow, all right? Well, we can't save everybody. The fact is, guys, if you've already heard gunfire in the building you're in, we're not going to be able to save everybody. More than likely, all right? But do the best you can. And again, as a last resort, as you saw in the video, and when your life or the life of another is in imminent danger and you're able to take some specific action, commit to those actions, right? And try to stop the threat, right? This is something you need to mentally prepare for. This is not suited for everybody, right? But you have to understand where you are in that scheme of things, right? Are you the one that's going to be able to throw the chair? Are you the one that's just going to be able to throw a book or something to create a distraction that allows someone else to escape out that door, or even yourself escape? Right? Again, whatever you can do, choose action over fear, as you saw in that video. All right, the law enforcement response, they're coming here. They're going to, the first elements coming in are looking for the threat, and their job is just go to the threat and stop it. Secondarily, they were going to now do a search and rescue of people who are injured and hurt, right? And they'll try to get them to safety as soon as possible. Right? And then after that, again, you're going to see some untraditional things take place because officers will respond from all over to specific protocols in place in the county to get as much help as you need at that particular location. Protocols are in place. All right? We've seen it work even in a non-active shooter event, but something that was unfolding that looked as though it could be an active shooter event. Within about 10 minutes, there was 40 officers on that campus. Right? So it does work. The protocols are in place. It's a team effort. It starts from in the prevention mode with you guys and your situation awareness, and then if we need to get the response, then we know we got the response in place. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Joe for some quick things on bomb threats.
We're down to 5 minutes. I know you have lunch coming up. Bomb threats are something that have occurred since the beginning of the telephone. The fact is that a total of 1,670 bomb threat incidents were reported in 2015. Pennsylvania is one of the states with the highest reporting bomb threats in 2015. It just so happens that 502 bomb threats were received at educational institutions during that year. 45 were received at colleges and universities, and in a 2-day period in the state of Pennsylvania, Harrisburg Area Community College was the victim, Bucks County Community College was the victim, and Montgomery County Community College was a victim of a bomb threat. In our case, it turned out to be a note that was written on a piece of paper that was left in a bathroom. A student found the note. This note said something like, "Bomb will go off at 12:30." It was dealt with as a true threat. The building was evacuated. This occurred in 2015, all within a couple of days of each other. The motive of the individual who left the threat was that he had a paper due at 12:30, and he was told that if it wasn't in by 12:30, he was going to fail the course. That person is currently in prison, unfortunately for him. I am not going to show you a bomb threat video, but I will be posting this program and the video on the emergency procedures portal site so that if you're interested in seeing the video, you can do that. The video deals with phoned-in bomb threats. We have a lot of different types, and currently there are robo-bomb threats that go out to schools that are actually started in off-country locations, and all of a sudden a mass mailing goes out, and schools all over the country have been inundated. The important thing about a bomb threat is to remain calm. If you're talking to a person on the line, try to keep that person on the line. Don't hang up the phone if you can avoid doing so. Listen carefully and ask questions. Inform co-workers to call public safety and the police. Complete a bomb threat checklist, and the bomb threat checklist is available on the portal site. As a faculty member or an administrator or someone who works near a phone, it's probably a good thing just to print one up and put it under the phone so that it's there, because any one of us can receive the threat. It's really less likely that somebody's going to call public safety on the emergency line or the business line and say, "Oh, there's a bomb in the building." They're more likely to call somebody in IT at the help desk, or somebody at the welcome desk, or maybe a faculty member who has just told the student, "You're going to have the paper in by 12:30, and all of a sudden they're receiving a call. So it's really important to do the best you can to complete a checklist and make sure that authorities have been notified. I'm not going to talk about our annual security report, but I'm very proud of the fact that Montgomery County Community College has proven to be a safe place to work and to learn. We have very few crimes here at Central and at West and at the Culinary Arts Institute. Mostly crimes of opportunity, and I would say those would generally be thefts. Remember that we're all responsible for the safety and security of the campus. I will do everything I can, and my staff will do what we can to keep it a safe place. But if you could help us out, we will make sure that it stays a safe place. Report emergencies, crimes, any type of safety issues or other hazards, including student issues. And most of the faculty are the folks that are going to see the issues in the classroom where students are having difficulty and maybe need some help. Remember SSRT, there are student counselors here, and we've just dealt with a stressful topic, and I have to be honest, I'm a news junkie, so over the past 5 days, Harvey has really been in my heart. I would suggest that if you need to talk to somebody, the college has a great program, an employee assistance program that is available to all of us. So make use of it if you need to. And Steve and I both thank you for your time, and we appreciate it, and welcome back to the college.
For the faculty, both Steve and Joe will be having one of the faculty sessions this afternoon at 2:30, talking in greater detail about classroom safety. So if you want to follow up with them. As Joe mentioned, they are between you and lunch. So lunch will be served at College Hall Cafeteria and at the West Campus Community Room. Faculty division meetings begin at 12:30. The division meeting schedule was posted in the Park House atrium, so you can see where your specific meeting will be held, and I look forward to seeing you at 1:30. Joe has one more thing. Wait 1 second.
One moment of your time. The classroom management course that we're doing at 2:30 is different from this. It won't be the exact same material. We'll be talking more about student issues and those types of things in that session. So I know there are 8 sessions this afternoon. Pick one. We hope to see you there. Thanks.